All right, again, I want to mention that this is not a tutorial video. This is just the way that I make slip joint pocket knives. We're about to grind the bevels into a blade. So what I've done off camera is I've actually put some Dicam. You can use a magic mark or whatever. I use this Dicam blue to color the end of it. And then what I do is I take a caliper and I'll measure the width of the knife blade, and this knife blade in several different places, it's about 110 thousandths. So the way I do it, we want to leave 20 thousandths right in the middle. That's the way I do it. I leave 20 thousandths in the middle. So we're going to actually make a set of railroad tracks in the center of this blade as best we can. Now, what I'll do, that's 110 thousandths, so I will deduct 20 thousandths from 110. That gives us 90 thousandths. So to get in the center of 90 thousandths, we'll divide that by 2, and that gives us 45 thousandths. So what I do is I will adjust my caliper to 45 thousandths. Tighten it down. And when I get it on 45 thousandths, a lot of people don't like this, they cringe, but I've got several sets of these calipers. These are my Tatoyas, but I've used them for this particular type thing for a long time. So, and I will scrape from the choil of the knife on the center of the blade and make a scribe line. Till I can see it pretty good. And then what I'll do is I'll twist the blade around and make another scribe line. And when we do that, what we end up with is actually a little set of railroad tracks, real thin, 20 thousandths of an inch railroad tracks down. I don't know if you can see that or not. Hopefully you can. It's difficult to see. And maybe you can see it right there. So anyway, we end up with a scribe line, and what we want to do when we grind in our bevels is to grind the bevels down about a 45 degree on each edge, and I'll show you that in a few minutes, on each side, but don't go past the mark on each side. So we'll leave 20 thousandths down the middle for sharpening at the end when we get our blade, the bevels ground in. So, all right, I'll bring you back in a few minutes to show you the next step. Okay, next step. I've got a couple of what's called file guides. They're both homemade. I made them here in the shop. This one's made out of tool steel. You can buy these from different knife suppliers that have carbide on the side of them. So these are file guides used for putting in bevels and keeping the, I'll show you what I use this one for. Or if you're making a hidden tang knife, which I'll get into another video and show you what we do with the bigger one. But this smaller one I made just out of some cheap steel, and it's lasted for many, I probably made 100 pocket knives with this little guide right here. And so what I want to do now, after we've got our marker, I'll put this into this guide. A lot of people don't use these, but I do. And what I want to do is I want my grind line to be at the same angle as, if you look on the tang here at the little choil, V choil right there, I want my grind line to go at that same angle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach this jig and try to tighten it down at that angle. Try to tighten it down at that angle, so when we're grinding, our grinds are at that angle. All right, when I get it tightened down, I'll come back and show you our next step. So yeah, we're back, and I made this little jig, I don't know, a couple years ago. Just threaded one side and milled out one side of it. So it's just a guide, and yeah, it's not hardened steel or anything, but I don't get real aggressive up against it. But when we get over to our grinder, I'll show you how this works. All right, so I've got a couple of grinders. This is my great grinder. This is an OBM grinder. It operates vertical as well as in the horizontal position. turn it either way, so it's got a lot of attachments, and very, very nice machine for the money. I didn't start out with this machine. I actually got a set of plans off the internet, and one of my employees, Aaron, helped me to weld together a machine. I bought some plans off the internet and actually made my first knife grinder. Made lots of knives with it, but it wasn't variable speed, and but it was a good machine to learn on, and I still use it. So most stuff is done on this, but we still do use it. So let me get set up here, get my respirator on, and I'm going to grind in the bevels here. We're using a 60 grit belt from Combat Abrasive. Not sponsored by anybody, by OBM or anybody. This is just a hobby of mine, and so anyway, we'll get back in just a second. All right, we got our bevels ground in. I don't know if you can see that real well. Maybe you can see it better from here on the edges. And now we'll go ahead and start grinding in the rest of the knife.